Shalom, shalom, grand rising, beautiful people, grand rising. I'm gonna try and wait a couple of minutes to see if some people do actually come in to chat with me. I'm just sitting and contemplating much, and I hope you can hear me. A lot going on in my personal life, but there's a lot going on also in society, and we really need to continue to have powwows so that we can come to a group consensus as to what is actually transpiring before our eyes. And I don't think many people are actually privy to or noticing what's actually transpiring worldwide, and specifically within the United States of America. So I wanted to kind of come on early and touch on a few topics, and maybe we can come to a group consensus of how we need to tackle this dilemma. So again, grand rising all. I turned on the TV this morning, and there was a CNN broadcast on this morning, and it was a breaking news broadcast how sexual harassment allegations have been brought against Fox News Network, which I found very interesting. They had a Caucasian lady explaining her plight and what had happened to her. And very ironically and interestingly, there was a sister interviewing her about what had happened in her recent past that prompted her to bring up these sexual allegations against the Fox News Network. Some of the men that were named included Tucker Carlson, which I found absolutely hilarious. But as the lady is being interviewed by this sister, and of course they had CNN commentators giving their commentary in the background, the look on the sister's face was just priceless. So one of the things I wanted to discuss and that I put in the comment section was about the Me Too movement co-opting or hijacking. This Caucasian lady gets on and she's talking about how she was sexually harassed within the Fox News Network employment environment by a specific man, and how for a lengthy amount of time she was receiving pornography from this man, letters from this man, sexually explicit letters from this man, and invitations to a hotel room. And she was one of the junior staff members in Fox News. And as the sister was interviewing her, she says to the sister, I made some complaints, but I just thought this was normal. And then so the sister's face was like, what? You just thought this was normal? And I'm going to search for the link in YouTube so that you could see that broadcast. But Tariana Burke started the Me Too movement not solely, like we wanted to be exclusive to non-women of color, but she started it solely to create a healthy space for Black women to come and heal. But not just Black women who were victims of molestation or sexual assault within our community to come and heal, but she also created the space for our brothers to listen and take heed to what things that are transpiring in the closed recesses and dark corners of our community and families, so that they would be able to better protect their sisters from situations such as sexual assault and molestation. That is what Tariana Burke created the Me Too movement for. Once again, it wasn't to be exclusive just to Black women, but that was the premise of it. It wasn't a platform to go after influential men. Her movement was then hijacked by one said Alyssa Milano, and it turned into a whole fiasco where certain women of a certain background, it seems, where certain women of a certain background could go after men of a certain socioeconomic status because they feel slighted in the fact that they've done things that were very compromising in hopes to get themselves in a certain positionality, and they feel that the other side of the verbal sexual agreement contract wasn't met. And that is just disgusting. So there has been a co-opting and a hijacking and a bastardization of the Me Too movement that has to stop. This woman got on TV and said for an extended amount of time she was conversing with this gentleman, receiving pornographic material from this gentleman, receiving hotel invites, never clarified whether she accepted any of them or not. And she thought it was normal. Now that it's been some time later and she's still in a junior reporter's status and she hasn't been elevated after she's compromised herself in a disgusting manner, she's screaming sexual assault. Not only that, I find it really interesting that Tucker Carlson has been brought into these sexual assault allegations. Tucker Carlson is so square. I mean, he is so square. If a woman was throwing it at him, I could see him fumbling over himself, dropping pencils and pens and not even knowing what to do with himself because he's never, been in that freaking, situation before. So to say that he is a sexual predator, I find comical, at least. And once again, this woman said she was accepting, and she thought these advances were normal, and that's just how they handle business. Bullcrap. In what world is it normal in a work environment for a male to send a female co-worker pornographic material and invite them to the hotel, and you think that that's normal? And there's no way in hell any man, I think, would dare to try and approach me in that fashion. I think they know who, good morning, I think they know who to approach in proposition and who would be more open to that type of propositioning and who wouldn't. Because if a man dared in a work environment to approach me in that fashion, day one, you would have heard my mouth from that room cursing him out as I walked out the door. If he would have propositioned me with some pornographic material or an invite, a verbal invite to a hotel, my phone would have immediately come out and the record button would have went on, and I would have said, they say, what now? You want to invite me where? As I proceeded to curse his behind out and walk out the door. And everybody in the office would have known exactly what he just did. And then I would have went straight to the authorities. Corporate, then the authorities. So there's no way any sexual harassment situation could have lingered on for a lengthy amount of time and me think that that situation is normal, especially in the day and age of this Me Too movement hijacking. That's one about that Fox News alleged sexual assault allegations, breaking news that just dropped this morning. Another thing that I find ironic is during that breaking news commentary, the first woman who ever brought a successful sexual assault allegation case against Fox News was present, and she was calling Fox News a Donald Trump cult, which I find really interesting, that in the midst of an election cycle and the one network that basically rallies behind and petitions for that CNN would like to call a Donald Trump cult is the network that they're going after to try and Trump, no pun intended, some bogus sexual allegation charges against and take down during an election cycle. So it's just this constant, noticeable, and I don't even think they care whether it's noticeable or not. It's just this constant, noticeable assault against conservatives, for one, and a plight to basically censor them. That leads me on to bullet point number 2 that I put into the post commentary section, which was about the Jesus Matters lady that's going around defacing alleged Black Lives Matters murals. I find it very interesting that these huge murals, that they're not artwork, it's tagging, it's actually copywriting. I remember when my ex-husband and I actually we had our business. We had a few businesses, and we would actually go throughout Jamaica Avenue in Queens, New York, and we would put our logo on certain posts. And because those logos were on certain posts, it started a buzz, and it started a copywriting buzz. And then, of course, we trademarked and copywrote the artwork and the products and the logo, etc. But when you're seeing that type of tagging, that big, that publicly, there is a copywriting that is occurring to where it's almost like they are taking over ownership of those blocks. I don't understand how de Blasio is allowing it. And when you look at BLM's conduct while saying that our lives matter. You can't help but to notice the hypocrisy between the message and the action. Not just that, when you look at who or the faces that are representing it, you don't really see us out there. It's been co-opted by many Caucasian liberals. And when these stores are being broken into and vandalized and riots ensue, there's a lot of masked Antifa individuals. You've seen the video of the sister approaching these Antifa terrorists, and she's a part of the Black Lives Matter movement, and she's like, they're tagging a building with BLM, and she's saying, why are you doing that? We didn't ask you to do that. And the lady's like all masked up in black, please don't approach us, stay away from us, 6 feet, 6 feet, we're helping you. And she's like, that's not helping us, we didn't ask you to do that. So there's also been a co-opting of the BLM movement as well. But you have to really sit and think. If you go onto the Black Lives Matter website and you look at their mission statement, the mission statement really has never been about Black lives outside of the LGBTQ community. It really hasn't been about black men's lives, because immediately once they get a platform, a public speaking podium, they're immediately talking about trans lives, and they're talking about LGBTQ lives. They're not really talking about the preservation of black lives, because if black lives really matter, you know, in that type of family dynamic, that black life cannot be procreated and preserved. So how could you really be about black lives? You talk about defunding police, and black lives are being lost in record numbers, not just to the COVID-19 virus pandemic, but black lives are being lost presently due to violence within our communities. A lot of children are being killed throughout New York, Chicago, and California, and even in Seattle. It's a problem. So you have to start looking objectively, my people, and realizing that this movement has nothing and has never ever had anything to do with our well-being and our preservation as a community. And it was created to cause division, to perpetrate a destruction of the current system that is in place. Now, this current system that is in place has never ever been perfect. I'm not blind. Don't think that I am blind. Don't think I don't love the skin I'm in, and don't think that I don't love my people, because I am infatuated with my people. But once our 400-year bond servitude was up, you have to see the vicious attacks that have been coming forth towards our lives, towards our movements and causes, how they've been co-opted and hijacked, leading to more